Hey guys, it's Steve with Prima Coffee here. Today we're going to take a look at Hario's filters for the V60 for all brewers and some changes that are coming in 2018. So what I have here are basically the same filter. There's both bleached white filters for the 02 size V60s. But you'll notice that there's a slight cosmetic difference here. This one on the left has a tab, and these are going to actually be the new standard filters for V60s. If you've been paying attention to the coffee world over the past couple of years, you've probably heard about these tab filters, and you might kind of be concerned about them because they don't really have a great reputation at this point. Sometime in the last few years, these tab filters started showing up in the US. If you order, V60 filters from Amazon or from certain other online retailers, you might get these instead of the standard untabbed ones. And some people were reporting that these filters actually cause their brew times to extend by even up to like 2 minutes, something very extreme. That for some people's recipes, that's almost doubling their brew time. Now, we've had these tab filters in for about 3 months now. We've been playing around with them and testing them and doing side-by-side tests. So we want to just kind of clear the air and talk about some of the changes that are coming, what to expect from these new tab filters, and sort of what you can do if you want to avoid the tab filters entirely. It might be a little bit hard to see on the camera. There are some visible differences between these two. They're the same exact shape. Obviously, there's still a tab on this one. There's a slight textural difference. The old filters feel a little bit coarser, or rather more textured, but also sort of softer, while the new ones feel a little bit more rigid and starchy almost, with a different sort of texture to them. They are a little bit heavier as well. It seems there's a little bit more material to them. And from what we've noticed, they seem to be a little bit more susceptible to fines. So best we can guess, there's a little bit of difference in the paper material itself. However, the size and shape and all that is exactly the same as before. So brewing with these filters, obviously, again, we've heard about these concerns about sort of extreme brew times and changes. We haven't been able to replicate those. At the worst, we've found that using the same exact brew settings between these two filters, the new tab filters might extend your brew time by 30 seconds at the most, but for the most part, we're seeing maybe only 10 seconds of difference. And that's really hardly anything to worry about. 30 seconds is getting to that area where, yeah, you probably want to change something about your grind size, take it a little bit coarser just to get it back in line with what you're used to. But really, that's not that difficult to manage. We have not been able to get that 2-minute extra brew time. We just haven't been able to see it. And even with home grinders or hand grinders, I think the worst that we've actually seen in our test is about 45 seconds extended. And again, that's something you can probably address just by grinding a little bit coarser. So we're not trying to discredit anybody, of course, but we just haven't been able to find a way to make that 2 extra minutes happen. And so far, we feel pretty comfortable with the switch to these new tab filters. So I'm actually going to brew with one here. I have a V60 set up with 30 grams of coffee, 500 milliliter brew, and I'm just going to kind of brew it with it as normal. I have not changed my grind setting from something that I would use for the standard filters. Again, we've done extensive testing with this so far, and we really haven't found that there's that dramatic a difference. So, as I said, these tab filters are going to be the new standard in the US. They are going to be on all size brewers. They're going to be on both the white and the natural filters. So if you want to avoid the tab filters, let's say for peace of mind, the best way to do that is to buy the boxes of 40 filters instead of the packs of 100. That might be a little bit of an inconvenience, but Hario has told us that at least for the foreseeable future, those are going to be the standard untabbed filters. So you can buy 40 at a time without the tabs if you like. Now, flow rate really hasn't changed here. I'm using a Baratza Virtuoso for this brew. We've noticed that with the hand grinders, again, if there's a lot of fines in the brew, they do seem to stall a little bit more on these filters than they do with the standard filters. And again, that change is fairly minimal. It's more or less just 10 to 15 seconds, maybe up to 30 depending on the grinder. The worst performance we had was on a hand grinder, like a budget hand grinder, and that went around 40 seconds, 45 seconds. Part of that could just be pouring. You can still have that kind of variation with your brews, even if you're being careful. But 45 seconds is certainly like, that's a point where we can say, okay, well, maybe this filter is performing differently than the standard filter. So again, that's something that can be addressed, and something that we actually did address by changing the grind size. If you're finding that your brews are taking longer than normal, just take it a couple notches coarser, see what happens. Brew another batch and see if you like the flavor first. Brew time isn't quite as important as flavor. So if you find that the brew then tastes weak, just dial it back, take it a little bit finer. Don't worry so much about the brew time itself. Focus on that flavor. And we think you'll be pretty satisfied with these tabbed filters. Again, the changes are fairly minimal for the most part in our experience. We really don't have any reason right now to be concerned. And it's even possible that the tabbed filters that we have in stock now are actually different from the ones that were causing problems for people a couple of years ago. It's possible that Hario has been changing their paper material, or they heard those concerns and responded to them. We don't have a ton of information on that end, so we can really only speculate at this point. But again, we're seeing decent results from the ones that we have, even though they have a tab, and even though that tab seems to have a little bit of a poor reputation. We're able to say pretty confidently that we can stand behind these filters, and you'll get just as good V60 brews out of them. So my coffee is just about to finish here, right on time. I was aiming for about 3:30 to 3:50 for my total brew time, and I'm hitting 3:30 right now with the bed about to drain fully. So again, just as predicted, and same grain size as I would have used on a standard filter. It's a solid V60 brew, and I'm certainly not going 2 minutes over right now. So there you are. Those are the new tabbed filters from Hario. We expect to see these pretty much as the new standard filters. So if you like, go ahead, just buy them as normal. And if you just don't want to get tabs in your life, go ahead and check out those 40 packs. Thanks for watching.